That was pretty good, wasn't it? Welcome to the Wealth Transfer. My name is Terry Saka, Chief Strategist, and we're along with Dr. Charles Vance.
That's a little inside funny there. Terry was just
is my collar
barely ready.
Getting that jacket on there.
You're on.
Woo, we did it. All right. But this has been, we're going to get right in here because we left off last week talking about why the Turkish government shot down the Russian jet. And we're going to get into the dynamics because we left off showing you Incirlik Air Base in Turkey, and that's where the United States houses all their military. So what you're really seeing is Russia moved in directly into Syria, started attacking ISIS. Now, remember, ISIS, we built ISIS. ISIS is the West. They were supposed to overthrow Assad in Syria. That was the plan. It was all because Russia wanted to, it's all about pipelines in Europe and Qatar, but Russia is undermining the very existence of the petrodollar, which gives us our buying power and prominence, and we're not letting it happen. So we're using these other countries as proxies, we call it, for war. And so the shooting down of that Russian jet was on purpose, but why are we still and continuously baiting Russia? We're like baiting them, we're begging them almost to attack. We keep saying, Russia's going to invade the Eastern Europeans, Charles. Russia's going to do all of this. They're not going to invade the Eastern Europeans. This is all lies of the Western media. They don't care about the Eastern Europeans. They took Crimea because their nuclear submarine fleet was there underneath a mountain. And by the way, it belonged to them back to Catherine the Great. We keep pushing Russia into a corner. I believe it's, number one, to try to stop them from taking down the petrodollar, which will really severely pretty much destroy our standard of living for a generation at least. And that's why we need to be so preserved and protected with our assets. But this is happening, and it's happening in a stealth way. Don't underestimate that shooting down a Russian jet is okay. And don't underestimate Russia's response being as mild as it was. They're planning. Wait till you see what they did. Wait till you see what we're going to show you today on the military hardware they moved in and how this game just changed.
Now,
so,
Terry,
you know, this is good stuff, Charles.
You showed yesterday, or last week rather, on the programming, you showed that we had a military base there in Turkey. Is that correct?
It's Incirlik military base,
okay.
Yes.
And it's right down there real close to where the jet was shot down over Syria.
Exactly.
Which is kind of bizarre when you know that and think about it. And then yet we're trying to remain in proper relationships with Russia and almost allowing, what it feels like, allowing Turkey to do something like that.
We did it on, we've kind of egged their Turkey on to do it. We, you know, protect your border, protect your border. No, 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 there's more going on here. This is what's weird about all of this. Governments have a tendency to say one thing in relationships behind the door, but then they go and they shoot each other down. Now, what really is insane about all this, you remember Ukraine and the passenger jet being shot down? That wasn't Russia. I mean, the evidence shows it was really the Western powers that shot that down. But what, you know, and this is all gamemanship, and I understand that. This is very serious gamemanship. And I know it's about protecting that petrodollar and our survival economically. But what really disturbs me as a kingdom man is we're using innocent people. We have murdered more innocent people in this gamemanship. I mean, serious. That passenger jet was filled with innocent people. Those pilots, those Russian pilots, come on. They didn't deserve to be shot down. They weren't doing anything. They got shot down by ISIS, that's one thing. They were attacking ISIS. Yes, they're hitting some moderate rebel positions. I would too. They're there on behalf of Assad to protect Syria. And so they're going after those moderate rebels as well, because all due respect, moderate rebels are Al-Qaeda. Do we not remember who Al-Qaeda is? Osama bin Laden? I'm not talking about Osama, I mean, I'm sorry, that kind of slip of, I'm not talking about our leadership. I'm talking about the Osama bin Laden, the terrorist guy, was Al-Qaeda. After we disbanded in Iraq and did all these shenanigans I won't get into, we made this happen. We formed ISIS. So let's get into this. But what it caused the Chinese and the Russians to step up military presence, as well as the United States.
But we've stepped up military presence.
Look at this.
So
there you go, right there.
Well, that's
U.S.
That's weird.
Look at that fleet going over there.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's weird to the average person to listen to you say that, I guess, the United States Armed Forces or the government, to some degree, has formed ISIS to take over another country to remove ourselves, so that we say we're not responsible for it, but somebody else. So we supply them materials.
Wait until you see this.
And it's
exactly.
backfired.
Yes. Well, and the irony is that's what happened in Vietnam. We did the Viet Cong that way, and then they backfired on us. So people just need to know their history. This is military stuff. There's our U.S. fleet. Here's the Russians and the Chinese. This is becoming serious over there.
Well, sure.
And so you got the Chinese coming into the currency basket.
Now, why? Let me ask you this: for people that are not up on the news, why are they coming into that area? Why is China, Russia, and the United States moving battle-ready ships into that area?
Because if I have to guess, Syria has potential to become like a Vietnam. Meaning it never was about Vietnam. It was always about the Soviet or the communists versus the United States.
Sure.
And in Syria, it's about China, Russia, Syria angle, Eastern protection to the United States and Western view.
And Vietnam was also, if I remember correctly, about rubber trees.
Was it really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
there was a bunch of American business in South Vietnam area.
Oh, my gosh.
And there was a lot of protection that was going on because of the economy that was coming out of there into the United States.
And I guess, being ex-military, I mean, I have a NATO secret back in the day. I'm the National Defense Medal, I understand. But I look back and I'm thinking this was all insane because, Charles, if it was about rubber trees and we had 50,000 people killed,
it was crazy.
And how many psychologically maimed,
sure.
All I know is it's disgusting to me.
Sure, it's disgusting.
And now we can't stop it.
And it all has to do with, this program is about wealth transfer. It all has to do with money.
Yes.
You know this as well as I do, and many people maybe watching don't know, but even in World War II, the same bankers, the same money people supplied money to the United States that supplied money to Germany to finance the war. The same people supplied the money. And that's not a secret if you do a little research on it.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was not an idea that, we're the United States, so we're going to keep our money over here. It was actually bankers that were European bankers and American bankers that supplied money to both sides.
Yes.
Just so that they could create more money.
Charles, that's great because, we could just say it as it is, too. Because there was a time way back in history, the French Revolution, where they knew that they could actually charge government's interest better than they could people and individuals, and they would be the Rothschilds, what they called them back in the day. The name was Meyer. But he knew this, and so they caught couriers going back and forth to the kings, warning them that it was a setup. But they financed both sides, the English and the French, to cause that French war, the Revolutionary War there. What was it, French Revolution, I think it was, right? But that was a setup. And in the end, both countries just get annihilated, and the Bank of England almost goes under, and then, of course, walk in this group. And next thing you know, they control the narrative of banking till we know it today. But it's always been because they knew if they finance both sides, the winner pays the loser's bets.
Sure.
But what does this have to do with us? Well, the petrodollar is in the crosshairs. We are teetering on economic depression again. It's definitely there, but it hasn't kind of imploded yet. But the implosion's percolating. Our assets and our IRA accounts, our ministry accounts are in the crosshairs of this. And so I'm saying get protected into hard assets. Be informed. Be educated. Because remember, the best thing we can do for ourselves is an education. Get the information. Write down the information. because that is where you can at least start for yourselves and your ministry. There's a good way to get started.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now remember, all the great or the big wars we've had, if you do your homework, start out where we use a proxy, meaning we use a country or we use a group of people, and the Russians are on one side and the U.S. is on the other, but we're really financing these armies, and it's really kind of silly because it's really our countries, but we're kind of doing it with the other country. We're using all these other people. It's amazing stuff. But in this case, the reason this is important, Assad may not be a good guy. I mean, this is really biblical territory. But he is controlling the land that must be maintained for Russia to hold on to the oil and energy dominance they sent to Europe. Because if they lose that ability, the Western world will make Qatar's pipeline go to Europe and cut Russia out of all the energy. So this is all what it's about. Now, they're using Assad's a bad guy, let's get rid of him thing. That's just not true. The rebels and the revolution going on in Syria were not Syrian people, rebels. They were al-Qaeda, and they were groomed and supported by the West. So much so, we provided them not only with equipment, but intel. So let's go to full because I want you to see this. This is known as a TOW. That is an American TOW missile system. Al-Qaeda is using it. You can't just mistakenly get that from a military base in Iraq and know how to use it. I'm telling you right now, ex-military, I fired nuclear missiles. There are procedures to things like this.
Sure.
You don't just pick it up and go, hey, I'm going to shoot this missile out.
Your point is somebody has trained them how to use this.
Not just, they just didn't pick up a manual either. Somebody on the ground showed them how to use this system. There's another version of it. These are al-Qaeda terrorists in Syria with our sophisticated that equipment shoots down jets. I mean, that's a big missile system. Here's another one. Firing with a BMG-71 TOW. Do you think he knows how to use that thing? Sophisticated piece of equipment? No. Now, they used this piece of equipment as the jet got shot down by Turkey, the Russian jet. The Russians sent in a helicopter to rescue the pilots. When they sent that helicopter in, do you know that that system right there shot down the Russian helicopter?
How come that wasn't on the news?
I'm telling you, there it is right there. That was the moment the rebels blew up the downed helicopter.
Now, these are people in Syria.
These are the rebels in Syria that are using our military equipment to shoot down a Russian helicopter who's just trying to save the pilot. And you don't think that's a provocation? If it doesn't smell like we're pushing war, I don't know what. You're looking at the image. I'm not making that up, Charles.
No. Now, you keep saying that war that we're pushing for war, the United States, and certainly the things that you've told us, it's provoking different people to do different things. Is it a money thing again?
I absolutely 100% believe not only is it money, I believe it's a distraction, because if we go to war, we can print trillions of dollars, avert or at least prolong the financial collapse that's coming, and then get everyone pumped up for war against the Russian bad people.
Sure. Because you bring people together when you have a common enemy.
Yes, because it's going. Now, that's why all this immigration is huge. I have a bad feeling if we end up in a war scenario, we're also going to be staring down massive terrorist attacks here in our country. And if that happens, I wouldn't be surprised if the government tries martial law or something crazy. I'm telling you, this is bad because it's not true. What they're doing is creating fabrication to cover up a bad financial plan. And this is it's probably been like this all through history. But
yeah, I was getting ready to say, when you look at history, basically all of these wars are created because I want your stuff or you want my stuff.
Or I'm trying to protect my living.
Exactly.
This one's about, now don't get me wrong, I'm about as American as it gets. I want us to survive.
Well, absolutely.
I think it's tragic that we're harming innocent people in the crosshairs. I think it's tragic that we lie when we're supposed to be an honorable country of integrity and truth. We are not that anymore. So the reason this is all so important is because we, the people, our financial stability, if this goes down the way I see it, you're going to have a lot of more, you're going to have layoffs, you're going to have another economic depression. Can we survive next time? Can people survive a 2008 collapse and then some, like they did then, again, in the stock market?
If this war is actually provoked to any degree whatsoever, it'll beef up things again, right?
Not during war, because war, it causes a lot of fear, and fear causes hoarding. And
so it's all actually hoard the money.
Absolutely. They'll go into hibernation, man. They'll get their food. Gotcha. I mean, I tell you what, I would be definitely focusing on having some food in storage in case this thing gets ugly, because I believe if the war is that bad, don't think it's not coming to our shores in way of terrorism, because remember, we're supposed to be going after ISIS. We've been supporting them all along. Remember, we gave them this equipment, that sophisticated piece of equipment. Oh, and here's an image that'll get you going. That's our senator. That's Senator John McCain with the very ISIS leaders. Now, granted, before they became ISIS, they knew it, though. That's an image of them with ISIS, with rebels in Syria to overthrow Assad. You don't think we knew what we were doing, right? Oh, we don't. We need more evidence than that? Here's a meeting right there where our senator and the ISIS leader al-Baghdadi, the very guy running around raping, torturing, and murdering women and children and Christians, there they are meeting about overthrowing Assad. Now, I understand why we're doing it. I get it.
Well, that doesn't make it right.
I'm not. It's not mine to say if it's right or not. I think it's wrong. But the thing is, we're starting, or whoever we want to say starting it. This is looking like a big war is coming down the pipeline. But it's a war not just bombs. It's a positioning for a future control of trade and oil. And that's what this is all about.
And again, this gets back to us as individuals taking care of what belongs to us and our family and our future properly. We can't afford to let somebody else do this. And Americans are horrible about this in this sense. If we've got enough money to go to the store, if we've got enough money to pay the bills, if we can go to the movies when we want to, we've got our heads stuck in the sand. And the fact is, we just need to wake up and prepare for our future. We're not doomsday people. If people were to ask us who we were, if people asked me what kind of a teacher or minister I am, I'm a faith guy. I believe in faith in God and the faith of God, but I also believe you have to put your faith in motion and do something with it so that it will actually produce something for you. Don't throw something over on God that God has given you. I've heard people say, well, God will take care of me. God's given you the responsibility to take care of yourself. And certainly don't throw that responsibility over on the government saying, well, the government will take care of us. You should know better than that. What a dangerous place to be.
And you know, Charles, right now, if we have an actual financial issue on the heels of a war, and we don't know exactly how this is playing out, but it smells pretty bad. If that takes place, the dollar value will lose. It will lose a lot of value substantially. It just will happen. It's just part of the nature. There will be a flood into things like gold and silver, which are known as safe haven. Problem is, you saw in the last week or two how we showed you the physical demand has been exploding. It already is being taken up at astronomical rates. Premiums are still pretty high already on physical metals to protect your assets, protect your IRAs. So, being informed, being educated is the best thing we can do. Because if we want to protect our ministry, protect our individual standard of living, especially if we go to war, we better be in the right asset. And here is some ways that we can do it.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now, believe you me, I am the first to stand up and support our military and our troops. And I mean the first to stand up and do that. I'm not so sure about politicians because they always get in the way of rules of engagement. They'll send us troops out into battle and say, don't shoot until you see the bullet 5 feet in front of you. I mean, it's insanity when politics get involved in military. Our military is some of the finest intellectual people I've ever known, but they're always held down, strapped down, chained down, and whipped by politicians. And that's a big problem because we can solve problems pretty fast. That U.S. military could have taken out ISIS in 1 week. 1 week if we wanted to.
You know this for a fact because you were in the military and you had a secret clearance in the military. I mean, you know what's behind the scenes on this stuff.
There's no doubt.
And the people that are there know.
Yeah. They know, and the military knows. We know what's going on. When we do ammo drops, for instance, big airplanes, we drop big loads of ammunition and equipment. We do this all the time, of course, in battle. Sure. We were ammo dropping, apparently, to our friends, the Kurds and the friendlier people that were helping fight Assad and ISIS. But, gosh, Charles, mysteriously, our ammo drops kept ending up in al-Qaeda hands. ISIS hands. Are our pilots that bad? No.
Yeah.
Our pilots don't make mistakes like that. Here's an image here. Let's go full. Oh, we are full. Look at this. There's a comment made, a gentleman in an interview. We received some aid from the United States of America. Notice the flag in the backdrop? That's ISIS. Right? I'm not making this up. That is an American aid drop box. That's how our aid is transferred around the world. That's our symbol. All the equipment, those TOW missile systems, binoculars, ammunition, you name it, is ending up in al-Qaeda hands. And al-Qaeda is ISIS. Now, I get why we're doing it. Don't get me wrong. What really, really bothers me, though, is the fact that ISIS is killing, raping, and torturing women and children and Christians. I don't know anything more demonic, anything more evil than to tolerate the destruction of women, children, and Christians. I don't know anything more evil. So I feel really bad as an American. I get saving my dollar, my future standard of living. I get because I like all of our lifestyle here. But I don't want to do it on the heels of women, children, and Christians. I just don't. I think that's a really bad spiritual precedence. And if this plays down, number one, spiritually we're going to get hammered. I think that's kind of where the whole Shemitah thing comes in. Financially, we're already on the verge of depression. We've shown you we're already dipped in as we did the last 2 cycles. And now we're picking a fight in the Middle East, and it's not just a skirmish. We're showing you the real deal. So to an extent, a lot of it's backfired on us. I don't think they probably wanted them to be that evil. But wait until you see next week when I get into showing you why they're so evil and wicked, and it's not because they're Islamic extremists. Wait, I mean, you're going to be quite surprised at this. But let's go full, because I want to kind of play off this cartoon and lighten it up a bit. As you can see, Al-Qaeda is who they are. They come into the American dressing room and come out as, oh yeah, Free Syrian Army rebels with weapons, cash, and ammo. Al-Qaeda are the very terrorists that bombed us in 9/11. Al-Qaeda were the very people destabilizing Iraq. And this is exactly what's going on right now in Syria. And if Americans really caught that, they'd be like, what are we doing? I think it's a mask to hide what's coming. Next week, we're going to show you why they're as crazy as they are and how evil they are. Wait till you see that. Until then, God bless you. Let the truth set you free.
Make sure you tell someone about the broadcast. We're on at the same time right here every week on this station. Also, don't forget you can watch these programs on demand 24/7 on your personal computer, smartphone, or tablet by going to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Terry and I will see you next week right here, same place, same time. Have a great week.
Good night.
Gold and silver reserves to protect your assets from volatile currencies. Another hard asset that is just as important for your sustainability is food. We believe that preparation is the key to being successful in an unstable economic environment, so we started Cam Ready Food just for you. The Bible tells us that Joseph used the resources of Egypt to prepare for a global famine by storing up food in a time of plenty. His preparation not only preserved the lives of his family, but many others as well. At Cornerstone, we believe the time is now to re-examine this biblical lesson so that you and your family can be prepared for any disaster, job loss, food shortage, or economic instability. You can start preparing today by visiting our website, camreadyfood.com, because food truly is the ultimate currency. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
In almost allowing, what it feels like, allowing Turkey to do something like that.
We did it on, we kind of egged their Turkey on to do it. We, you know, protect your border, protect your border. No, 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 there's more going on here. This is what's weird about all of this. Governments have a tendency to say one thing in relationships behind the door, but then they go and they shoot each other down. Now, what really is insane about all this, you remember Ukraine and the passenger jet being shot down? That wasn't Russia. I mean, the evidence shows it was really the Western powers that shot that down. But, what, you know, and this is all gamemanship, and I understand that. This is very serious gamemanship. And I know it's about protecting that petrodollar and our survival economically. But what really disturbs me as a kingdom man is we're using innocent people. We have murdered more. Jet was on purpose, but why are we still and continuously baiting Russia? We're like baiting them. We're begging them almost to attack. We keep saying Russia's going to invade the Eastern Europeans, Charles. Russia's going to do all of this. They're not going to invade the Eastern Europeans. This is all lies of the Western media. They don't care about the Eastern Europeans. They took Crimea because their nuclear submarine fleet was there underneath a mountain. And by the way, it belonged to them back to Catherine the Great. We keep pushing Russia into a corner. I believe it's, number one, to try to stop them from taking down the petrodollar which will really severely pretty much destroy our standard of living for a generation at least. And that's why we need to be so preserved and protected with our assets. But that was pretty good, wasn't it? Welcome to the Wealth Transfer. My name is Terry Saka, Chief Strategist, and we're along with Dr. Charles Vance. And
that's a little inside funny there. Terry was just
is my collar right?
barely ready.
Getting that jacket on there. And
you're on.
Woo, we did it. All right. But this has been, we're going to get right in here because we left off last week talking about why the Turkish government shot down the Russian jet. And we're going to get into the dynamics because we left off showing you Incirlik Air Base in Turkey, and that's where the United States houses all their military. So what you're really seeing is Russia moved in directly into Syria, started attacking ISIS. Now, remember, ISIS, we built ISIS. ISIS is the West. They were supposed to overthrow Assad in Syria. That was the plan. It was all because Russia it's all about pipelines in Europe and Qatar, but Russia is undermining the very existence of the petrodollar, which gives us our buying power and prominence, and we're not letting it happen. So we're using these other countries as proxies, we call it, for war. And so the shooting down of that this is happening, and it's happening in a stealth way. Don't underestimate that shooting down a Russian jet is okay. And don't underestimate Russia's response being as mild as it was. They're planning. Wait till you see what they did. Wait till you see what we're going to show you today on the military hardware they moved in, and how this game just changed.
No,
so,
Terry,
this is good stuff, Charles.
You showed yesterday, or last week rather, on the programming, you showed that we had a military base there in Turkey. Is that correct?
It's Incirlik military base.
Okay,
yes.
and it's right down there real close to where the jet was shot down over Syria.
Exactly.
Which is kind of bizarre when you know that and think about it, and then yet we're trying to remain in proper relationships with Russia.